Hi, I'm Father Louis Scurti, and my guest today is Monsignor Paul Bocchicchio. Welcome, Paul.
Good, thanks, Lou.
Actually, Paul and I are here at St. Aloysius Rectory in Caldwell, New Jersey. Our classmate, Monsignor Michael Desmond, is the pastor, and today some of the guys from our class are celebrating 45 years of ministry. Actually, they're celebrating 45. I was ordained a little later, so I'll catch up to them someday. But it's been wonderful to, first of all, be called together by Mike and Ray, who put this together. We celebrated Mass already as a class. There's only 9 of us here present who are priests, a few friends of ours and classmates who are laymen,
Right.
and then there are others who are ill, could not be here, travel at a distance. But this is our reunion.
Yeah.
What does that say to you, reunion of your priest classmates?
Well, first of all, it evokes a lot of memories. You know, you realize that you got to where you are, you know, of course by the grace of God, but by the help of an example of a lot of people. And you realize how much our experience in the seminary and knowing one another, you know, has helped, to shape and make us, the priests that we are.
Yes, and it's interesting that the homily, George Gillen, a classmate of mine, really shared his entire ministry with us when he was called to a parish, when he was called to the schoolwork, Catholic schoolwork, called to a parish again, even honestly taking some time off, a year, I don't know if it was a year or a year of absence, but it's honest because that's what so many of the guys go through, various experiences. What are some of the outstanding parochial experiences and otherwise that you've had, Paul?
Well, it's been a very rich experience. I look back at 45 years. Just not long ago, I've been going through photos, and it evokes a lot of memories, and you realize how rich your experience has been as a priest. I've served in 5 parishes and 2 school settings, and I've had different diocesan jobs like vocation director, personnel, vicar for personnel. I've served on national boards like the National Federation of Priest Councils, but my favorite work has been parish work and youth work. And some of the outstanding things, I was in 2 parishes in Jersey City, your home parish, well. But Our Lady of Mercy was the first parish I was in, and one of the most powerful experiences I had as a priest was the formation of a youth group called the SCURTI'S. And it happened in a very strange way, but it was really the hand of God at work that really led me to work with street kids, and eventually others. And I think about 500 kids eventually went through the program in the 11 and a half years I was there. Then, of course, Holy Rosary stands out as my first pastorate, and it was, a wonderful experience, tough at times, because people downtown are tough.
You had people like my father in your parish.
Right.
I know you had a cross.
And but I mean, it was the excitement of the centennial, the oldest Italian parish in the state. And in each of my parishes, one of the things that has come across is there have been vocations too.
Great.
There were 3 from Our Lady of Mercy, 1 from Holy Rosary, 1 from Mount Virgin and Garfield, and now several from Holy Family in Nutley.
Beautiful. Yeah. And of course, Fano is one of your stars.
Right.
And I interviewed him on our show, and all he could do is talk about Father Paul Bocchicchio and the influence you had in his life.
Well, I came across at the right time. He was in kindergarten. And, just the experiences of the schools, in each parish I've been, there have been schools. Unfortunately, most of them are closed now.
Yeah.
The influence of the religious sisters of St. Joseph, of course, the Filipini sisters.
Right.
And the opportunity, to enter in people's lives. Right now, I'm in Immaculate in Montclair. I've been there 2 years, and it's kind of back being an assistant again, for the last 2 years. And I've been teaching in the high school too.
Right.
So it's just been an incredible mosaic of experiences.
What always strikes me, people say, what stands out most? I want to say, and I'm not a humble person, everybody knows that. What stands out the most is the trust that people put in us. whether we're dressed with a collar or jeans and a t-shirt, if we're pointed out as the priest, there's immediate bond of trust, and they'll talk from their heart, and they'll share from their heart. That's really humbling. I mean, again, for someone who's not humble, that puts it in a right perspective, that they automatically trust you. You've been ordained, you've been called by God, and there's a simpatico and a relationship, again, of trust. I mean, of course, the most trusting place is the confessional, but there are other kinds of counseling and outside experiences that yeah. Have you had that experience?
Oh, over and over again.
Yeah.
I just think of, you know, how sometimes people test the waters. You know, they may come to you and they speak about something, and then if they feel welcome, then down the line they open up, you know, about even greater things in their lives, you know.
You were campus minister too, right?
I was at Seton Hall and Rosary Catholic. Yeah.
And I learned that testing the waters experience at William Patterson University. When I first got there, I would wear a collar on campus to be noticed, and there were two kinds of greetings I would get. I would always try to make eye contact with everyone, and sometimes they would make eye contact. Oh, hi, Father, how are you? And that's it, walk by. And the others look at the collar and put their heads down and walk by. And those are the ones I used to go after. Introduce myself, say I'm lost on campus, would you help me? And that's the experience of testing, because so many students knew I was a priest, and I'm sure this happened to a lot of priests, especially in campus ministry, knew I was a priest, and would drop little things in front of me. You know, just drop little, you know, if I didn't pass out or I wasn't shocked by whatever they were telling me, I'm not disclosing anything, then I passed the test, and the next day, like you said, they would come back, oh, by the way, can I talk to you about something? What a blessing. What a blessing of trust.
And often what happened too, you know, sometimes when you really got to know someone and you broke the barrier, people would say things like, you know, you're not like other priests. And I would always say, well, what are other priests like?
Yeah.
And you'd find out that they had a stereotypic image of a priest.
Yes.
And, you know, just because they met you and you met them, you know, in a way that gave them permission to open up, then they thought there was something extraordinary about you. But, you know, I've often thought that had they met, you know, other priests, they would have had the same experience.
I think so too. Right. Because, I mean, although, you know, I have to say, in honesty, some priests get caught up with being clerical, but push them aside for a few minutes, maybe for a long time. But the rest, all the priests, whatever their character, whatever the personality, they want to be open, and they are open. But again, the barrier has to be crossed. They have to cross the bridge and meet us. Now, in a parish setting, I mean, you're up there. You're easily accessible.
And it's interesting too how intergenerational, you know, your ministry is. You know, where you could be teaching second grade, you know, in a parish school, then go to a funeral, do a marriage preparation, stop in a senior citizen meeting, you know, all in one day, all in one experience. And you just at the end of the day look back and say, wow, you know, what happened here? Yeah.
Interesting, because that is exactly used to be my experience on the parish on the college campus. What I would go through in the course of a day, meetings, people, counseling, this or that, and at the end of the day, just give thanks to God that, oh wow, you let me touch these people. I mean, and that's what built the community. Just thanking God that we could touch the people we have touched, and hopefully there's some blessing that they receive from our contact.
One other thing has been a very important part of my priesthood is because even though I'm only half Italian, you know, my mother was Irish and German.
No one would ever know that.
No, but with my name and the fact that I speak Italian, you know, just being in many Italian parishes and just, you know, being so caught up in their traditions and this spirituality, which you know, I find, you know, has always touched my heart, you know, and you know the devotion of people, and just gave me a deeper appreciation of other ethnic groups too, and you know their way of expressing their faith in God. I've had the unique situation in 3 parishes where I pastored of celebrating the centennial of each of those parishes.
Oh, really? Wow,
Holy Rosary was the first.
Yes, that's great.
But in Mount Virgin and Garfield and Holy Family in Nutley, and being part of that moment where you could look at the history of the richness of where that parish had come from,
Yes,
and,
yes.
and get a sense of where it was going, setting a vision.
That interesting. That's fascinating. As you're saying that the different traditions, of course, I appreciate our Italian tradition, and we had so many in Holy Rosary, especially during Holy Week.
Oh.
And I introduced those traditions at the chapel.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that students would, processing
Right.
with the Blessed Sacrament, processing with the cross on Good Friday, on Mazza Dolorosa, the big statue. And they really went into it, and they got into it because I think they grew up during a period when that kind of devotion was maybe pushed to the
Minimized.
side and minimized, right?
Yeah.
And I try to bring it out, and they'll never forget their experiences,
No.
as your parishioners will never forget those experiences.
And even young people, like passing on the tradition of the church. I remember going to a youth conference one time where they were trying to establish the fact that kids are different today. And in some ways that's true.
Yeah.
But they were talking about what attracts young people to God, and they were talking about, shared prayer, Bible study, and all of which are true.
Yes.
But I said yes to all of that, but the way of the cross, benediction, so many of the things that were part of our past and that attracted most of us to the church.
Yes.
Were still an important part of people's lives. And you see it today. Adoration is very popular with young people.
Yes.
So I don't think we can ever forget, those things that have shaped us and still have a value, in the lives of other people.
As we close, what would you say to young people watching this, as if they're even remotely interested in the priesthood?
I would say, to look, I say this to young people all the time, that the most important prayer that you could ever say is to ask God to help you to recognize His love.
Mm.
But the second most important prayer is to realize that He has a plan for you, and that you're going to be happy if you discover that plan, and that that each one of us, I think as Cardinal Newman said in a prayer, that each of us have been given a unique mission, something to accomplish that has not been entrusted to anyone else. And I think I see in the hearts of young people, they're looking for that. They're not looking necessarily, for a big bank account all the time, but they're looking for meaning in life. I would just end by saying that I remember a young man that I knew a number of years ago who was working on Wall Street, but was unhappy. And I said, what do you want to really do? He said, I want to teach. And he ended up taking a job in a Catholic school at 1/3 the salary.
Oh, I can imagine, yeah.
But he was very happy, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Happiness.
Seek happiness.
Because he finally played into God's plan.
Right.
Thank you, Paul. This has been wonderful.
Good.
Keep ad multos annos, as they say, many more years.
Yeah.
This has been Father Louis Scurti with Father Monsignor Paul Bocchicchio, sharing some aspects of ministry. If I'd like to hear from you, Father Lou Scurti at hotmail.com. And I'm going to ask Paul to give his email if they ever want to reach you.
Sure. msgrboc@gmail.com.
So it's really Monsignor Bocchicchio.com. Okay. God bless you. Thank you. Pass this on to your family and friends, and let's hear from you.